Hello, my companions. Let me give a little bit more room. Hey, this is Earl Purdy. I want to welcome you to Facebook Live. I want to welcome you to A Course in Miracles Facebook Live that happens to be taking place on Christmas of 2022, even though this message is a message for any day, every day, all the rest of the time of the year. And one of the things that the Course in Miracles teaches is that the end of the Christmas is supposed to be the end of sacrifice. It's supposed to be the time that represents that you are through sacrificing. You're through with the idea of loss and the idea that you can lose, or that you're a loser, or that you have to give up what you don't want to have what you do want from another point of view. So we're going to be talking about the lessons that love and truth is trying to teach us, which the course calls the Lessons of the Holy Spirit. And that's going to be on page 106, page 106 in the text. Page 106 in the text, chapter 6, the Lessons of Love. And we're going to be in the section that's called To Have Peace. What do you do? To have peace, teach peace, to learn it. So this is the way I'm doing it. I'm so glad to be here, glad that you're here. I'm going to spend roughly half the class on To Have Peace, Give Peace to Learners, the text. And then I'm going to complete with the workbook lesson and exercise that we are to apply when we leave here and all during this week. So we're going to also focus on the application of the ideas as well as hearing what he's saying, what the Course in Miracles is saying. Because if I don't use it, I lose it in my perception. If I don't use it, it'll never become a habit. And if it doesn't become a habit, I'm not going to do it all the time. Because habits are things that we tend to do all the time. So you got to make, it's kind of funny saying, you got to make sanity a habit. You got to make it a habit and not stop being crazy. That's what we're here for. This is a class on how to stop being crazy. And it's telling you that if you pull that off, it's a miracle. So that's why it's called A Course in Miracles. Now we got it. Now we got it. So we're going to start out with the paragraph 2 on page 106. To have peace, teach peace, to learn it. Let me see if I can find myself on here so I can kind of monitor things and be able to tell if something goes awry. Plus I get the chance to look at me again. Oh, Lord, have mercy. So let me get this. I want you to take a breath. There's no rush. There's no hurry. All we need is just one idea that's true that we use consistently. And what happens if you have one idea that you use consistently? That's the truth. It's going to lead you to all truth. It's going to lead you to love. All it takes is one idea. Like, for instance, if you were to say, to have peace means I have to teach peace to learn peace. Okay, so to teach is to demonstrate. Okay, so that means every time I come into a situation that would seem to upset me today, or rather I would upset myself about, then I know exactly what my instruction is. Demonstrate peace. If you want to have peace in this situation, then you be peaceful. See, if I just stay with that, whether I'm talking to a friend, a relative, a child, an intimate, whatever, whoever I'm talking to, no matter a stranger, and if I remembered, well, if you want to have peace in this situation, you're going to have to give it. You're going to have to demonstrate it in order to learn how to have it. You have to demonstrate it in order to learn how to have it. So the course is telling you, and this should appeal to anyone that's a teacher. That could be a parent, that could be you, But the Course says all good teachers have one thing that they realize. All good teachers realize that the only kind of change they can count on is a fundamental change. Unless you make a fundamental, basic, core change, it's not going to last. So a good teacher knows that. If they can't support a person in having a fundamental, I like to say fun, F-U-N, the mental, right? Right? It should be fun, and it should be mental fun, because when you have mental fun, then you have a physical reality and a perception that is fun, because everything you perceive and experience according to the Course is determined by your thoughts and what's going on in your mind. So it's really easy to have fun. You have to be a brand new type of spiritual sect. That's what it means when it says fundamentalist. They should call you fundamentalist. Right? Come on. Are you going to demonstrate what you say you believe this upcoming year, or are you just going to stay in the theoretical realm of analyzing it? So the Course says, but even though you want a person to make a basic fundamental change, you don't begin at that level. You don't begin at the level of the basic core fundamental change if you want somebody to change. What you really should want most of all, if you really want to bring about a change or support a change in somebody, what should you do? The first thing you should do, whether it's a child, whether it's a friend, whether it's a partner, whoever you want to have some type of an influence that they may make some type of a change, what should be your first and foremost goal? Well, if I really want to see a change in you, then the first thing that I should try to do, if I'm a really conscious being, is strengthen your motivation to make the change yourself. I can't change you, but as a good teacher, I want to strengthen your motivation to want to do it differently and to see it differently. So the best a parent can do, a teacher can do, or anyone can do with anybody around them is to try to strengthen that person's desire to change themselves. I can't change you, but I can certainly help you want to change you, right? So now I know, even in a relationship, if I want to change, I need to be strengthening the motivation for change in the other person, and the other person should be strengthening my motivation to change, but we can't change each other. Then the Course in Miracles says, and you keep hearing me say Course in Miracles says, because I always work out of the book, because my goal is to strengthen your motivation to want to study and apply the book yourself. That's all I'm up here for. If I do this right, there will be some people who are in front of me, or some people who are watching me online, that they are, because of something that came through me, they will get totally sincere about reading and studying and applying the Course, and they'll actually go do it. And you have really hit the jackpot when you came across me. If you're that kind of person that really wants a Course in Miracles, and you really want to study it and apply it and read it, and you see it as your path, I'm not bragging when I say the Holy Spirit through me could save you a whole lot of time and a whole lot of pain. Absolutely. Just like we said sometimes to our children, if they listen, I could sure save them a whole lot of pain. And right, exactly. But that's our relationship to God, according to the Course. Same thing. If you all would listen, I could save y'all a whole lot of worry and a whole lot of time. But you think you can do it better than me, just like when you were kids, you thought you could do it better than your parents. Right? So then the Course in Miracles says, if you're a good teacher, you have one goal. You want to strengthen the other person's motivation to change. And that's also your last goal. It's your first goal, your foremost goal, and your last goal. So I always try to make the Course practical. So to me, that's saying my first goal and my foremost goal and my final goal in any relationship that I'm in of any type is to strengthen the other person's motivation to love me and to treat me in a loving, peaceful, sane way. We're going to see if we can keep them from going to Crazy Town. Even though Crazy Town is really hot. Okay. All right. But since I'm the mayor of Praise Down, the Course in Miracles says the way that y'all got in the hell and fear reality dimension that y'all are in right now is this is a joke that you forgot to laugh at. He said that the whole idea that you could be separate from God, go through pain and grievances and lack and unhappiness and all the stuff you think you go through, he says that the truth is you forgot to laugh at that idea because that idea is so stupid and so opposite to love to think your creator in love will put you in a place that you got this much fear. He says it's a joke, but you took it seriously. He says, and since you're a God and God-like being and you create through your consciousness, well, the minute you took it as a serious idea, then you projected it and perceived it because that's how we create. So this is a joke. It's a joke to think that your creator will send you to hell forever. It's a joke to think that love would be full of guilt and anger and grievances and sickness and upset. You know, it's a joke to think that God would make some happiness that's temporary. Something that loved you wouldn't want you to be happy temporarily. Something that loved you would want you to be happy, what I call permanently, right? So a conscious being is shooting for permanence. An unconscious being is always going for what's temporary and what they just have every now and then. So you don't have to believe these ideas. You don't have to accept these ideas. You don't have to welcome these ideas. Some of these ideas you're going to actively resist. Some of these ideas you're going to find hard to believe. And some of these ideas might startle you. But we're not here to judge the ideas. We're here to use the ideas. And if you use the ideas, then you'll see that everything that I'm saying is true. Okay? So I'm speaking especially to those who are on the edge of their seat to hear what I have to say today. I'm here for everybody, but especially those of you on the edge of your seat. As I want to attract more and more of you because I have so much good stuff that I'm going to share with you in this upcoming year. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to meet those who are able to be strengthened in their motivation to go to love and God through something that comes through me. And most of the people who listen to me and watch me are not people that's in front of my face. There's very few people actually in front of my physical face. It's like what Spirit has been tapping me into also is thousands of people who I don't see. So that's what's going on all around you too. There are thousands of people that you don't see that are capable of loving you. Because she's so damn cute. You know, like I always say, just be quiet, you'll get a date. Because you look good. I was watching the movie last night, and the thing I kept noticing over and over, if you get a chance to watch this movie on Netflix, it's called About Fate. A-B-O-U-T, Fate, F-A-T-E. It's really a great movie. It's a great, funny movie, but it's got so much true stuff in it for somebody that's willing to watch it, you know. And I'm excited about the fact that there's somebody who's looking for you that needs you to be the way you are. Do you know there's somebody that's looking for you to be the way you are? That there are people out there that are going to be sent to you who need you just the way you are, because the way you are is best for them. What? I want to be with somebody that the way I am is the best for them. Okay. That means I don't have to change. That means I can be myself, right? Yes. Yes, son. This book says stuff that's so loving that it took me 42 years to hear it. Because what it was saying to me was so much more loving than I'm capable of that I couldn't hear it. So what should you do? Well, with your partners, friends, children, your boss, whoever, co-workers, yourself, what should you do? He says, well, you need to increase motivation for change. All you got to do is increase somebody's motivation to change, and then that's all you need to do to guarantee change. So the Course in Miracles just says, would you like to know how to guarantee change? All you have to do is increase the other person's motivation to change. And if you do that, I guarantee you they're going to change. Because when you say you're going to change your motivation, have you ever met somebody that said, I'm going to change my mind? Well, the Course in Miracles says, well, when you say you're going to change your mind, you're saying, I have a change in motivation. I got a new thing that's motivating me now. I changed my mind about you. I got a new thing about you that's motivating me now. I got another way of looking at you I have changed my mind about you, means that I have changed my motivation with you. So when you change your mind about something, you changed your motivation, what motivates you and what you're going to use to motivate you. But if you're still being motivated by the same old stuff that you've been motivated by, that hasn't brought you any joy, you haven't changed your mind yet. When you change your mind, you're going to be motivated by something different. You used to be motivated by A all the time, and A always kind of bit you in the butt sometimes. And then all of a sudden you say, I'm ready to change my mind. Well, what you're saying is, I'm ready to be motivated by something different from the things I was motivated by in the past. Now I've changed my mind. I have a different motivation. Okay, I hear you, Course in Miracles. And whenever a person changes their motivation, that's what's going to produce a fundamental change. So when your motivation is changed, that's when you're going to change, and your mind is fundamental. Your mind is fundamental. Your mind is fundamental. So making a basic core change in you, it would be better if you looked at it as, I'm going to change my mind. So if you want to change yourself, rather than saying, I'm getting ready to change myself, start saying, I'm going to change my mind. Try that and start to see what happens. Okay, I'm going to change my mind. What does that mean? Changing your mind means you've now changed your motivation. What should be your motivation? Your motivation should be peace, total fulfillment, happiness. That should be your motivation. That should be your motivation. Okay? Now, what is the first step in the reversal? What is the first thing you do if you're ready to move in a new direction? Well, the Course says it right there. The first thing you got to get rid of is the concept of getting. What? If you really want to have peace and abundance and prosperity, you got to let go of the idea that you're going to get something from anybody and that you're going to get anything. You have to let go of the concept of getting. If you want to change your mind, then you have a new motivation, right? So it's saying to us, well, your new motivation should be you are motivated to not try to get anything from anybody anymore or anything. That's the first thing. Oh, this book said I might have some resistance. That's what it said at the very beginning. It said some of these ideas you may actively resist. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. What is the next thing? Well, accordingly, Spirit's first lesson is, if you want to have it, you got to give it to everybody. What? If you want to have it, you got to give it to everybody. I'm not talking about an STD. My students just love what I just said. The ones who aren't, you're appalled. That's how I can weed them out. The people who like you, those are the ones who've been sent by God. The ones that's trying to burn you with the torch, they weren't sent by God. Those were the people that were sent by you to you. The mob was hired by you. Wow, it's deep, you know. Soulful, teaching, delivering. Soulful, teaching, delivering. STD. So spread it. The soul, the teaching, deliver it.
Merry Christmas.
I should play that to my life.
No, it takes a minute sometimes to have time to lay jokes. You know, you be 3 hours later, you hear it. You be going down the street. It finally hit you, you know. The Course in Miracles is hilarious when you take it slow. It'll drive you crazy if you go fast. Because this mind is a genius mind. I can remember when I first read the Course in Miracles, I had one goal. I said I wanted this mind to be my mind. if thoughts create my reality, then the higher the thoughts, the better my reality. Thoughts that are this loving would be the kind of thoughts I'd like my world to be made of. So I realized, oh, okay, then you need to learn how to think like this. Then the book said, well, I'm going to help you. Well, what? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to tell the difference between love and what's not love. That's what I'm going to do in this book. I'm going to teach you how to tell the difference between when you're dealing with love, someone that loves you, somebody that knows what love is and expresses real love, and when you're getting ready to hook up with another psycho. I'm going to teach you the difference between how to recognize love and how to recognize anger and guilt and fear. And so he says, because you all think you know how to tell the difference, but you do not. Okay, so I need to change my mind. So the first thing I want to tell you is that if you want to have, you want to give all to all. Now, I look at how Jesus of the Course says, I said that this is apt to increase conflict. Yeah, telling you that you to have everything, you got to give everything. He said, well, I know it increases conflict. So I'm going to clarify what I'm talking about. Because I know many of y'all here give everything all to all, you all are pretty tight. So, nothing like that's going to really turn you on. All that giving thing is not exactly where you all excel on earth. That's not exactly what you do well, I tell you. But, it's so funny when you really think about what we're being told. So the boy says, and at this point, you don't realize that having something is the same as being it. That whatever you want to have, you have to be it. If you want to have love, be loving. If you want to have peace, be peaceful. Anything you want, in order for you to have it, you have to be it. But you don't see that yet. You don't see that yet. Okay, that pretty much explains the world. Then he says, well, until you see that anything you want to have, you have to be, then it looks like having is the opposite of giving. It looks like if I give you these eyeglasses, I don't have them anymore. So it looks like giving is actually to us, we think giving is the opposite of having. Because when I give you the eyeglasses, I don't have them anymore. So the Course in Miracles says that's why we have such a conflict about giving it, because we think once we've given it, we don't have it anymore. I give you my $5, that's $5 I don't have anymore. We think giving is losing. That's wow. We think to give is how you don't have. You give it all away, you don't have it. Okay, I hear you, Jesus of the Course. Then tell me the next thing. He says, well, the next thing I want you to know is the first lesson seems to contain a contradiction. It looks like I'm telling you that you're going to have everything by giving it away, but if I give it away, I don't have it. And another reason why I'm confused about what you're teaching me is that I have a conflicted mind, and so I'm learning through my own conflicted mind. So I'm having a hard time understanding a lot of this stuff that I'm reading in this book, or a lot of this truth that I'm studying, because I'm in conflict. And because I'm in conflict, then sometimes it looks like I see things in a way that causes conflict in me. So if you're in conflict, then it's going to sound like when I tell you that the best way for you to have something is to give it, you're not going to want to do it because you're going to think that it's asking you to give something away, and when you give it away, you don't have it anymore. Take a breath, don't analyze it. So when your mind is in conflict, so if you have a mind in conflict, what does that mean? This is, well, when you have a mind in conflict, all it means is that you have conflicting motivation. One minute you think you're motivated by the desire for love and peace and joy, and the next minute you feel like you're motivated by the idea of being afraid or angry or upset. You all got conflicting motivations because you have a conflicted mind, and since you have a conflicted mind, it looks like giving is the opposite of you having things. So you don't see the truth because you're in such fear and conflict, is what the Course is saying. That a person that's in fear and conflict doesn't see anything correctly. A person in fear and conflict is not seeing anything correctly. They're looking at everything through a distorted lens. So what I'm learning how to do, that I'm so proud of myself for doing this, is when I feel myself about to go crazy, I shut up. As soon as I feel that part of me that's starting to make me mad and make me angry about something, or make me feel unhappy, I immediately go into, all right, Purdy, you've just gone into the zone of nothing you're telling yourself is true. And so I just breathe and I be quiet. And I won't say anything until I have more peace, because if I have peace, I'm seeing clearly, because peace does not distort your vision like anger and upset and depression does. So the happier you are, the clearer you can see what's going on, so you're much more effective in what you do in your life when you're happy. It's practical. So you trying to tell me I'm most wrong when I'm most upset in terms of how I'm saying things? That's exactly what I'm saying. The angrier you are, the wronger you are. Oh no! I'm mad now. I don't want to do this book. I'm not doing this book. That's okay. The truth will get you another way. It rhymes. That's okay. The truth to get you another way. That's going to get you. You know why it's going to get you? Because God loved you too much to allow you to suffer forever. That's what this book told me. What? Your Creator cares so much about you that I don't care how long you want to suffer, I'm not going to allow you to suffer forever. I'm creating a limit to your unhappiness because I love you, and I see that unless I put an end to your sadness, you would be sad all the time. So well, then how would God do it? Well, according to what I just learned, as a good teacher, the Holy Spirit would try to do what to me? Strengthen my motivation to change. The Course in Miracles strengthened my motivation to want to change myself. Your spiritual path should be strengthening your motivation to change yourself. And anything you want somebody else to use that you see as your talent or your gift or your service, then you should be the first one that's receiving that service for yourself and applying it to yourself. You know what I'm saying? If I'm an astrologer and I do charts and readings, I better doggone, but I should also be willing to go to another astrologer or make sure that I look at my astrology chart myself. So how much advice are you giving people that you don't do and you don't practice yourself? So you're not a real teacher. And so I'm taking this slow because this one paragraph could change my mind. What does that mean? It could change my motivation, right? Then he says, so if you're wondering why you haven't been able to learn these spiritual lessons consistently, it's because you're in conflict. Your motivation keeps going back and forth. 1 minute you want the truth, 1 minute you don't. 1 minute you want to be peaceful, 1 minute you want to attack. And so since you have conflicting motivation, you can't learn the lesson consistently. So that's why you're not learning your lessons consistently, because you don't have a consistent motivation. You have not said, all I want in my life is peace and joy and happiness and nothing else. You still go back and forth. 1 minute I want to feel guilty, then I want to feel innocent. Then I want to call myself sick, then I want to call myself well. Then I want to call myself broken, then I want to call myself abundant. The Course is telling us that you have changing, conflicting motivations, and that's why it looks like your happiness is not consistent. It's not consistent because you don't only want love. You don't only want God. You think there's something else. You think there's another alternative. You think that there's love and fear, guilt and innocence. So you're going back and forth between these two motivations. And so I love this part. And so he says, then you start projecting your own conflict. So I'm coming from all kinds of different motivations, going back and forth, back and forth. So I'm going to now, because that causes me so much conflict, I'm going to project it on you. And now you're the ones with conflicting motivation, and you're the one that keeps going back and forth, and you're the one that's not consistent, and you're the one I can't trust, because I took all of my conflicting motivation and then I projected it into you. And then he says, how can you tell if you're projecting your own conflict into other people? He says, well, the way you can tell when you are projecting your own conflict in other people is you don't see other people as being consistent. So if you're walking around saying, I see the inconsistency in my kid, I see the inconsistency in my friends, I see the inconsistency in God, well, the Course in Miracles just told us that inconsistency that you're looking at is nothing but the projection of your own conflicting motivations looking back at you. You go back and forth. You don't stick to peace and nothing else but peace. You don't stick with joy and nothing else but joy. You go back and forth, and so everybody else does, because everything out there is a reflection of what's going on in your conflicted mind. There you go. There you go. Then you become suspicious of their motivations. Right, I project all my negative qualities into you, and then I become suspicious of you. I'm not trustworthy, so I project that you are not trustworthy, so then I don't trust you. But I'm really looking at my own projected distrustworthiness, untrustworthiness. So I'm always interested in, it's always funny to me to listen to people who are always talking about what's wrong with everybody else, because they just all telling me what's wrong with them. So they've already revealed the kind of person they really are, and how they really think, about how they look at everybody else and what they say about everybody else. So if you really want to know what people really think, it's what they say about everybody else. Then nobody ever be able to fool you again if you actually listen. I'll say it one more time. If you don't want to be fooled by people anymore, remember that what they see in others is in their own mind, and so they're telling you what their own mind is really like. Okay? So the more inconsistent you are, the more you're going to be suspicious of other people. So that means a person who's very suspicious of other people is a person who's very consistent in their own motivations. Then the court says, in case you don't know what the hell I'm talking about because it makes too much sense, let me give you the next sentence. It says, you still strongly aware of your own ego, right? I'm becoming aware of the fear in me, the separation in me. I'm becoming aware of the ego in me. I'm aware of the me that thinks is separate from you. So the Course in Miracles says, since you're strongly aware of your own ego, and then you're responding primarily to the ego and everybody else. He said, I'm listening to my own misperceptions, fears, old programming, old conditioning, and then everybody else is listening to their old learning and their old programming and their own conditioning. So the Course then says, then this book is turning around and telling you to react to your own ego and to somebody else's ego as if what you believe isn't true. This book is asking you to keep acting like what you believe isn't true. You think you can never be loved and never have a loving relationship. What you don't believe that what you believe can be true. So you need to recognize, I love this, he says it again, that's why you resist this, because I believe that I am separate, I believe I am a man, I believe I am a body, and this is telling me, no, you are a spirit, and you are unlimited, and you're more than a body. Okay, that's something that I don't believe, but this book is asking me to react as if I really am the child of love, and that I really am a spirit, and that I really am. This book is asking me to act like I am what it's telling me I am, which is an incredibly innocent, powerful being. And it's asking me to react as if I don't believe that's not true. I don't believe that that's true. I don't believe that I'm unlimited. I don't believe I'm an eternal being. I don't believe that I'm connected and joined to everybody else. I don't believe that there's nothing to fear. I don't have a 100% peace all the time about everything. And this book is telling me that I need to be willing to let what I don't believe about myself be true. You might not believe you're a valuable, wonderful, beautiful being, but I'm going to still tell you that that's what you are, because if I'm going to help you, I am going to have to teach you how to react to the lies that you're telling yourself as if they're not true. You're going to have to learn how to hear that crap that you tell yourself and the negative thoughts that come up sometimes that you tell yourself, and be able to walk away from that going that, okay, I even though I believe that's true, I'm being asked not to believe that's true. Okay, now we're going to go to the workbook lesson. I see them, I got the two-way communication. I see them being moved out on stretchers right now. Oh my God, there's a whole bunch of them. What's your problem? He told me I was brilliant and unconditionally loved always, no matter what. Oh my God, what am I going to do with myself? I built a whole world around everything going wrong sometime. I know how to move around. I know how to move around my patterns and my problems and my jealousies and my insecurities. I know how to navigate those. I've been navigating those all my life, but I don't know how to do unconditional love and freedom and innocence. Wow. Oh, then okay. Well, that's what the teaching is for. Okay. Oh, that's why you got help. Oh, thank you. All right. I gotta swallow some water here just a second. I want you to take 10 minutes, not 10 minutes, 10 seconds to think about what I just said. Okay, I want to change somebody. I'm getting ready to try to change somebody again. I'm in the habit of trying to change somebody. Okay, now, according to what I was just taught, how do I change somebody? Well, if I want to change somebody, all I have to do is strengthen their motivation to change. If I can make them want to change, that's the only way I can change a person. So if you're in a relationship with me and you want me to change, give me a reason to. That's all you got to do. Give me a good reason to, and I'll do it. Whatever you want out of me, give me a good reason to do it. I'll be right on top of it. I'm telling all of you out there in viewership world, if you want to change me, all you have to do is increase my motivation to be the way you want me to be. And then I'll be that way myself. Relationships are so easy. Do I hear a few wrong perceptions of relationship out there? Okay. I have no neutral thoughts. That's lesson 16 in the workbook. I have no neutral thoughts. I have no neutral thoughts. What? I have no neutral thoughts. I have no neutral thoughts. You 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 have no thoughts that are neutral. You have no thoughts that are neutral. You have no thoughts that are neutral. It's on 26 in the workbook for students. So what is the first thing that you need to get rid of? You need to get rid of the idea that your thoughts don't have any effect. You got to get rid of the idea that your thoughts don't have no power. You got to get rid of that one. That idea that your thoughts don't have no power. So what do you need to get rid of right now? The belief that what you think doesn't have any power. That's number one. People who like to attack other people don't like the idea that they'll have to experience their own thoughts. Because they know their thoughts are so horrible, the last thing they want is their own thoughts manifested. Does that make sense? The reason why people don't jump up and down with that idea that your thoughts are creative is because their thoughts are not loving. And they don't want to believe that those unloving thoughts are going to manifest. So they don't want to believe that thoughts have any power. That's what you mean I created that? Yeah, you're the one that's making all the misery that you're going through right now because you don't realize that you need to be given the happiness and joy that you want to be receiving. And that needs to be your only motivation, and you don't go back and forth between 1 minute you want peace and 1 minute you want to fight, and then 1 minute you want to be happy. So you having conflict and motivation, and that conflict and motivation is giving you a whole lot of conflict. And since you're in a whole lot of conflict, you project all that conflict into everybody around you, trying to get rid of it. And now you see them being inconsistent, and you can't really trust them. But that's really what's making you suspicious of them, is you're looking at your own back and forth motivation. And I need to remember that the next time I'm getting ready to get mad. Right? That's what it means. You need to remember this. You don't need to worry about figuring it out. Just remember that you don't have any neutral thoughts. And what is the next thing? He says, and also remember, and really hear this one, everything you see is the result of your thoughts. Everything you see is the result of your thoughts. Everything you see is the result of your thoughts. Everything you see is the result of your thoughts. Everything you see is the result of your thoughts. Everything. Anything you see is the result of your thoughts. Anything you see is the result of your thoughts. Anything you see, everything you see, everything you perceive, everything I see is the result of my thoughts. Everything I see is the result of my thoughts. Everything I see is the result of my thoughts. Everything I hear is the result of my thoughts. Everything I hear is the result of my thoughts. There are no exceptions to that. There are no exceptions to that. I go, what? No. Everything you see, I don't care if you're looking at TV. I don't care if you're reading the paper, listening to what somebody's talking about. Even me, you're seeing me. That's the result of your thoughts. You're seeing me as the result of your thoughts. It's your thoughts that produce you seeing me. And you can just break that down to this simple. You thought about coming over here, and it was your thought about seeing me that's got you here seeing me. On any level you want to look at, everything in your life, your bank account, everything that's going on, your friendships, your relationships, the state of your life right now is the result of your thoughts. So what is the point of telling me that depressing thing, depending on how happy I am or unhappy? Well, that means your thoughts really aren't big and your thoughts really aren't little. It's not a matter of your thoughts being powerful or are your thoughts weak. It has nothing to do with whether or not you have big thoughts or whether you have little thoughts. We're not talking about, it's not about, do I have powerful thoughts or do I have weak thoughts? Thoughts are merely true thoughts or false thoughts. They're not good thoughts, bad thoughts. There are only true thoughts, false thoughts. What? Earl, what did you just tell me? Forget about how weak your thoughts are, how big your thoughts are. Forget about how powerful your thoughts are. I want you to concentrate. If you want to be a good Course in Miracles student, have a few miracles over the holidays, I want you to tell yourself, everything that I see is coming from my thoughts. It doesn't matter whether my thought is powerful or weak. If my thoughts are either true or false. So all day long, people are not having positive thoughts and negative thoughts. All day long, the only thing people are having are true thoughts or false thoughts. Okay, when you walk out of here, there are no kind of thoughts anymore for you except thoughts that are true and thoughts that are false. You're going to go to a world where you just look at the thoughts as, is this thought true or is this thought false? Not whether is this thought powerful or is this thought little or is it weak? None of that anymore. Your thoughts are going to be divided into two categories. Either you're thinking something that's true or you're not. That's the next thing it's telling us. And a true thought will create true thoughts, and a false thought is going to create a false thought. So a fear thought is going to create a frightened thought. So if I'm having a lot of fear right now, I'm having a lot of fearful thoughts. I know people go, that's elementary. Now, if it was elementary and you were really doing it, you'd be in total peace, joy, and bliss right now. So don't deceive yourself in thinking that you have already accepted anything I've said today. Because if you had already accepted, you would already be ecstatically in bliss consciousness. So this is something that still needs to be repeated, Earl. You still need to hear. I don't care if you think you've heard this 100,000 times in the last 2 or 3 decades. I'll say it again. The stuff that you're going through right now is a result of your own thinking. Everything that you're seeing and everything that you're experiencing is coming from your own thinking. And your thoughts are either true or false, but your thoughts have a lot of effect. The next thing I want you to know is that you could not possibly have a more self-contradictory concept than thinking you have idle thoughts. Okay? That idea that you have idle thoughts is a ridiculous thought. The idea that you have idle thoughts is a ridiculous thought. You know why it's a ridiculous thought to believe you could have idle thoughts? Because a thought that could give rise to you seeing your whole world could hardly be an idle thought. A thought, if your thoughts are creating your whole world, then they aren't idle. Your thoughts are busy as a mother, giving you exactly what you believe and what you think you deserve. Your thoughts are not idle. Your thoughts are not sitting back going, oh my goodness, we think we'll take a break. It's like, no. Your thoughts are true and they're making their truth. And then you have other thoughts that are false and they're making their reality for you also. Okay, breathe. So what does that mean? It means every thought that you have is either contributing to truth or every thought that you have is contributing to a lie. Every thought that you have is contributing to something that's true, or every thought that you have is contributing to something that's false. Every thought you have is either contributing to fear, or every thought you have is contributing to love, and either it extends, it's going to multiply. I love that. Every thought you have contributes to truth or to illusion. So that means either every thought you have is extending the truth of love, or every Thought you have is extending a lot of false ideas, things are not true, fear, upset, grievances, and stuff that make you unhappy. So the Course in Miracles is telling me that every thought you have, Earl, is either contributing to your abundance, or every thought that you have is contributing to your idea of lack. Every thought that you have is contributing to your relationship with God, or every thought that you have is contributing to your relationship to your own ego that doesn't really know anything. See, this is really ridiculously simple when you think about it. But that's why it knocks us out. It's because it's so simple. But I don't care how many Bugs Bunnies you make up. I want you to think about 1,000 Bugs Bunnies right now. Everybody familiar with Bugs Bunny? Okay. Do you think 1,000 Bugs Bunnies are any more unreal than one Bugs Bunny? Right? If I said to you, is Bugs Bunny real? You went, no. I said, well, would 20 Bugs Bunnies be real? That's what he's saying. You know, I don't care how deep y'all have made this illusion, you've made these fears, you've made these challenges. I know it looks like it's something sometimes that's overwhelming. That's just like you falling for 1,000 Bugs Bunnies. Just because it looks this serious does not mean that it's something that spirit could not totally and completely handle. It's the one Bugs Bunny theory. Whoa! Oh man. So what? Well, I'm going to break this to you, but besides you're recognizing that your thoughts are never idle. What? Your thoughts are never idle. You know, this is a whole new meaning for American Idol. Yes, it is. Okay. Besides you recognizing that thoughts are never idle, your happiness requires, what is it that your salvation, your peace, and your happiness requires? What is it that your salvation, your peace, and your happiness requires? It requires that you also recognize that just what I just said. I'm saying it again in case y'all didn't get it. Every thought you have is going to bring you peace, or every thought you have is going to bring you war. Every thought you have is either going to bring you love, or every thought you have is going to bring you fear. It's impossible to have a neutral result. It's impossible to have a neutral result. It's impossible to have a neutral result because it's impossible for you to have a neutral way of thinking. There's no such thing in your life as neutral. All your thoughts, everything is neutral, but you don't see it that way. So the Course in Miracles is telling us that it's impossible for you to have a neutral result because it's impossible for you to have neutral thinking. So what is our biggest temptation? What is the worst temptation we have to get past? He says, well, you attempted to dismiss your fear thoughts, and your thoughts of fear is unimportant. It doesn't matter. My thoughts of fear and upset, they're not that really important. They don't really make that no difference. In the Course, it says, you have a temptation to dismiss your own frightening thoughts as trivial. You have a temptation to dismiss your own ego and your own thoughts. And you think that your thoughts don't even matter enough to even watch them and think about them. You don't think your thoughts are even important enough to watch them and think about them. He said that's a temptation. You have a temptation to believe that the thoughts that you're thinking are not creating your reality. And every time you forget that the thoughts that you're thinking is creating your reality, then you're setting yourself up for pain and fear. So stop dismissing your thoughts as unimportant and trivial and not worth bothering about. Because you got to realize you got to be destructive, but they're also equally unreal. You have some very destructive thoughts, no doubt about it. Very fearful, wrong, unusual thoughts. But none of those thoughts are true. None of those thoughts are real. You think a lot of stuff that bugs you, worries you, and scares you. That's right. But let me tell you again, none of those thoughts are real. What is it? It's essential that you recognize that all of those fearful thoughts are equally destructive, but they're also equally unreal. And you're going to get this idea. It's going to come to you in a lot of different ways until you understand it. A truth is always going to come to you in a lot of different ways until you understand it. So what is it the Course in Miracles saying? This is what I want you to do next. What I want the wall right now and pat it down. I want you to search your mind with your eyes closed. With your eyes closed. I want you to don't overlook any little thought that's going through your mind right now. Any thought that goes through your mind right now is okay. Think about what you're thinking about right now. Think about what you're thinking about right now. What are you thinking about right now? What's going through your mind right now? So some of your thoughts are going to try to hide from you. Some of your thoughts are hiding behind that rock over there. Some of your thoughts are hiding behind that tree over there. These are all rocks of repression and the trees of denial. So there's a part of you that's hiding. There's a part of you that's very negative that's hiding from you. It's hiding from you. So search your mind for every thought. And this is going to be kind of difficult until you get used to it. What I'm asking you to do is going to be difficult until you get used to it, because it's going to be hard for you to not make artificial distinctions. What does that mean? It just means that every thought that comes up, every thought that occurs to you, regardless of the qualities that you assign to that thought, whatever that thought is that comes to you right now, that's a suitable subject. If you want to know what the suitable subject is for today's workbook lesson, what is the suitable subject? The suitable subject is any thought that occurs to you, any thought that comes up in your mind about anything or anyone, any of the thoughts that you have all day about anything and everything. All of those thoughts, any thoughts you have, any thought that you have is suitable to use for our lesson today. So what should you do? The first thing I want you to do is repeat the idea to yourself. I have no neutral thoughts. I have no neutral thoughts. Say that. And so as each thought crosses your mind, that can even be the thought that you're not having any thoughts crossing your mind. So any thought that's in your mind right now, any idea that's in your mind right now, any belief that's in your mind right now, as that idea, as that thought, as that belief crosses your mind. Imagine your mind is a vast landscape, and then imagine that your ideas are crossing your mind. It's like a wagon train. Your ideas are crossing your mind. Your ideas are crossing the idea that maybe I'm not good enough, or the idea that I'm not loved enough, or the idea that I am loved enough, or the idea that things don't go right for me, or the ideas that I'm separate. Your ideas are crossing your mind. They're crossing the landscape of your mind all day long. And I want you to think about what you're thinking about. Just for a second, I want you to think about what you're thinking about. Would you be willing to think about what you're thinking about? Just for a few seconds, thinking about what you're thinking about. And so when you think about what you're thinking about, tell yourself, this thought about this is not a neutral thought. For example, this thought about what's going to happen with climate change is not a neutral thought. This thought about whether or not people even tuning in to class on Christmas is not a neutral thought. Any thought you have about anything, whatever that thought is, say to yourself, this thought is not a neutral thought. This worry is not a neutral worry. This thought is not a neutral thought. This thought that I'm having about my finances, my abundance, my prosperity, that's not a neutral thought. The thought that I'm having about my relationships, that's not a neutral thought. This thought that I'm having about my focus, my career, my ambition, my spiritual awareness, that's not a neutral thought. This thought that I'm having about my body and my health, this is not a neutral thought. This thought that I'm having about my sex, my age, my gender, whatever it is that I think I am, I never have a neutral thought about myself. You never have a neutral thought about yourself. You never have a neutral thought about yourself. You never have a neutral thought about yourself. So I want you to use this idea. When should you use this idea? You should use this idea whenever you are aware of a particular thought that's making you feel uneasy. Whenever you're having a thought that's arousing your uneasiness. Whenever you're having a feeling that's arousing your uneasiness. When your uneasiness is being aroused, you're having an aroused uneasiness. Whenever you're aware of a thought that's giving you an aroused uneasiness, you just had this thought and it's not really making you feel that good. I just had this thought about what might happen next week in my life, and that doesn't make me feel. You have to absolutely be aware of any particular thought that's causing you to feel any kind of uneasiness. And so this is what you say to that thought that's making you feel uneasy. You say, this thought about this, and you fill in the blank. This thought about is not a neutral thought. This thought about whether or not I'm going to be able to pay my utility bill is not a neutral thought. This thought I'm having about whether or not the Course in Miracles is true is not a neutral thought. This thought that I was thinking about this morning when I woke up first thing this morning, concerned about, it's not a neutral thought because I have no neutral thoughts. Do you know that the Course in Miracles is telling you how to have miracles? It's saying if you would just do this simple exercise with any level of consistency, then you would see your motivation become absolutely a motivation that is the right motivation, that you won't be wavering about, that you will really go for your happiness and joy like never before, because what's important for you to recognize is that all of your thoughts have some effect. All of your thoughts have some effect. All of your thoughts have some effect. And that effect can be the greatest joy and peace and abundance and light and happiness that you could possibly ever experience, and more than you could possibly imagine. You have no neutral thoughts. You have true thoughts, or you have false thoughts. Those are the only kind of thoughts you are having. You either have beliefs that are true, or you have beliefs that are false. You're either in a relationship that is based on love, or you're in a relationship that's rooted in fear. You have no neutral thoughts. You do not have neutral thoughts. You do not have thoughts that are neutral. You don't have thoughts that don't have power, have effect. All of your thoughts have effect. All of your thoughts have effect. And all you have to do is tell yourself, this thought that I'm having right now is not a neutral thought, because I don't have any neutral thoughts. Just don't try to figure that out. Don't even think about what am I going to do next after I say that. No, it'll be a miracle if you just say this. Well, that's why I didn't time that. Okay. I'm going to end that on a very powerful note, and now I'm going to take an opportunity to share, to say if you'd like to share, if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation to my full-time teaching ministry, I appreciate that. I'm in another state of mind right now. I'm in another state of mind right now. And I would love to stay there, but I have a tendency to get evicted from sanity. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it sounds like I can only be sane for so long. Then I just do something stupid. Have you done that?
All the time.
Okay, yeah.
Is it in there? Yeah.
Yes, if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, you can use Zelle, Venmo, the Cash App, PayPal. I'm available for one-on-one sessions called clarity sessions, where we can find out exactly what the answer is to whatever it is you're going through from the perspective of the Course in Miracles, and with me we can apply the answer to your problem or challenge. You don't have to suffer anymore. There's no purpose in continued suffering. So let's do a clarity session. It could be very helpful. I continue to evolve just as you continue to evolve. So even if you had a session with me in the past, I'm not the same person I was in the past any more than you are. So it would still be a different kind of session if we did it again now. You're different and I'm different. And that's the way it should be. Thursday nights on the Earl Purdy page, I do Hardcore Course in Miracles, 7 p.m. Mountain Time on Facebook. And on Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, we also do a Course in Miracles on Facebook Live. Those of you who really feel that you're being moved by the Course and what you heard today excited you or made you think, and you're feeling more motivated to change yourself in this direction, I am here for you. My classes and everything I do, they're aimed at those who appreciate what I have to offer the most. That's who my appeal is in every area of my life. I only ask for who can appreciate me, and I can appreciate them. It's not complicated. If my thoughts are not neutral and my thoughts make my world and my perception, then I would have to be insane not to see the obvious solution, which is to give myself a new set of thoughts. That's what your spiritual path does. It should be that new set of loving thoughts. Like for me, that's a Course in Miracles. It's giving me the thoughts that produce nothing but joy, because everything is going to come from my thoughts. So I need some really, really powerful, some really cool thoughts. And these thoughts have got to be better than the thoughts that I come up with for myself. So I'm so glad that I was wrong. Take a breath now. I'm going to take one more minute, and then we're going to be finished. Earl Purdy at earlpurdy.com is the email address if you'd like to share. Earl Purdy, P-U-R-D-Y, at earlpurdy.com. And you can self-book a session with me right from my website, earlpurdy.com. So take a breath. Tell yourself, I have no neutral thoughts. I have no neutral thoughts. And this is what Spirit is telling me to do. Spirit is telling me to say it for you for a minute. You have no neutral thoughts. You have no thoughts that are neutral. You have no thoughts that are neutral. You don't have neutral thoughts. 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 Everything you see is the result of your thoughts. Everything you see is the result of your thoughts. Your thoughts are either true or your thoughts are false. You're either telling yourself something about this situation, and you know the situation I'm talking about. You're either telling yourself something about this relationship, and you know what relationship I'm talking about. You're either telling yourself something that's true or something that's false. You're either telling yourself something that is real or something that is unreal. Those are the only kind of thoughts that you have. Unreal thoughts or real thoughts. Those are the only kind of thoughts that you ever have all day long. And those are the only kind of thoughts that anyone that you are looking at in this world. Everyone in this world, we're all having the same thoughts. We're either having thoughts that are true or thoughts that are false. And these thoughts have effect. So tell yourself, this thought that I'm having right now is not a neutral thought. This thought that I'm having right now is not a neutral thought. This thought that I'm having it's not a neutral thought. This thought is not a neutral thought. Then tell yourself, this thought that I'm having is not a neutral thought. This thought that I'm having about this person is not a neutral thought. This thought that I'm having about this person is not a neutral thought. This thought that I'm having about these people, my thoughts about these people, these thoughts are not neutral thoughts. I don't have any neutral thoughts. My thoughts are either true or my thoughts are false. My thoughts are either true or my thoughts are false. And the thoughts that I have that are true are going to create and make a reality of love and peace for me that is true. And those thoughts that I have that are false will continue to give me things that are unreal, that do not last, that sometimes gives me pleasure and sometimes gives me pain. I'm going to keep choosing for what's false until I realize that my thoughts are not idle thoughts. My thoughts have importance because I am powerful. You are powerful. So tell yourself one more time, I have no neutral thoughts. Everything I see is the result of my thoughts. I have no neutral thoughts. Everything I see is the result of my thoughts. Mighty companions, watch or listen to this at least 4 times. Let yourself hear it. It's the key to miracles. It's the key to having a life that's easier than the one perhaps that you're giving to yourself. Be around people that strengthen your motivation to love yourself more. Be around those people who remind you of your value. Those are the true people. The false people are those who make you feel guilty, unworthy, unloved, unappreciated, and not enough. Don't go for them.